Well, I feel like I'm walking into a minefield here, but at this point, screw it. Let's rank the Halloween franchise with the addition of Halloween Ends. You guys, it's Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I'm here today to give you guys my updated ranking of the Halloween franchise now that we have a new installment. Last year I did this with Kills. I did this after 2018 came out. And every now and then I'll do it, every few years, even if a new movie hasn't come out, because sometimes one really grows on me or one I kind of sour on a little bit more. So I think it's always good to kind of keep this updated and fresh. But since we got a new movie, kind of have to do it. Now, I've got to say, before you guys get into this, before we get into this, you are not going to see a ranking like mine. I posted a ranking on Letterboxd a week ago. A lot of people were like, what the hell is this ranking? That's the beauty of this, guys. When you rank a franchise, it's based off of subjectivity. I'm not going off of, objectively, this movie's the most well-made, this is the most poor-made, and everything in between. I'm not doing that. I simply do based off of enjoyment. I have reasons why I like this one more than this one. And that's just really all it is. Arguing and getting into the semantics of all that, it's really just a waste of time. I'm not going to do it. I would hope that you guys wouldn't waste your time doing it, because you can't change somebody's mind based off of what they like and why they like it. So, know that this ranking is going to be very different. You have not seen one like this before. 2, I can already see some of you guys typing out your angry comments down in the basement right now, like, you're so dumb, this movie sucks. You're wasting your time, because, worst comes to worst, I'm gonna throw you a heart and then just ignore it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna take the time to respond to the negativity. So I challenge you guys to literally just below comment your ranking. Just comment your ranking. You don't have to give reasons why if you don't want to. You don't have to give reasons why you don't like my ranking. Just comment your ranking down below. But without further ado, let's get right into it. And we're not starting off great. At number 13, my least favorite Halloween movie is absolutely positively 2002's Halloween Resurrection. I've seen recently over the past few years, people have kind of come around on this more. Not in the sense of that they think that this is a great movie, but more in the sense of they're like, well, it's not a bad 2000s slasher movie. I would say, yes, it is. I mean, never mind the fact that you've got this completely unceremonious and forced in kill of Jamie Lee at the beginning, and this whole explaining away how there's even a sequel after H2O, which totally cheapens H2O, and then you just get a bunch of bland, forgettable characters in a movie that really just doesn't make a lot of sense. It's acted badly, it's written badly, and it's really not even shot well. Oh, and there's no atmosphere. I will say, as much as we hate him, you do get one memorable character in this, and it's Busta Rhymes. Not great, but you remember him, I guess? So, yeah, Halloween Resurrection. Next up at number 12 is going to be Rob Zombie's Halloween from 2007. And I've had a weird relationship with this movie. I saw this movie when I was a teenager, opening night in theaters, and I loved it. Like, absolutely loved this movie. As the years have gone on, it has really slid down my ranking. And obviously you can tell by being at number 12. That is because the first half of this movie, not that it's not interesting to see some explanation between Michael, for Michael, and see the relationship between he and Loomis as he's growing up. It's just really hard to get through that first half. Shitty characters, bad writing. I mean, it's just so in your face that it leaves nothing to the imagination. I'm fine if you want to explain some things. I'm fine, whatever. But it is really just abrasive and in your face from start to finish. In that first half. The second half, super fun, kind of just like a fun remake of John's movie, but I could do without this first half entirely. I like Scout as Laurie, and I like Danielle Harris as Annie, Brad Dourif as Sheriff Brackett, Malcolm McDowell. I think the cast is great. Tyler Maine's a great Michael Myers. But that first half of the movie, just take it out, put it somewhere else, and we got a much better movie. Coming in at number 11 is going to be another hot take, but guess what? I'm here for it today. I hope you are too. Halloween H2O, 20 years later. And I would say starting with H2O and on, all of these movies I have a lot of love for in different ways. I would even say Rob's Halloween. Like, I can find myself watching them for some reason or another. H2O was one that when I was growing up and I was a teenager, I loved this movie. I had this movie on constant rotation. I just absolutely loved it. And as time went on, I really started to be like, wow, this movie is trying really hard to be something that it's not. And there's a lot of errors, just technical errors throughout this movie, whether it's ADR, whether it's masks, whether it's the music. It's just, there's a lot in this movie that is just very of its time. And you don't want that sometimes because it kind of dates the movie. H2O is not a bad movie. I still think this is my favorite Jamie Lee Curtis portrayal of the character Laurie Strode in the entire series. Probably the most believable. But overall, it's just a very, very 90s movie, and there was a lot of 90s movies that did it better. But it's an okay movie. Coming in at number 9 is going to be Halloween 2018. David Gordon Green's Halloween. Hollow Green, whatever you want to call it. This movie is an example of me getting my hopes up to astronomical places and never being able to have those expectations met. It had been a decade since Michael Myers had been on the big screen. I couldn't wait for this movie. I went and saw this movie and I was super let down. After seeing it 4 times in the theater, each time I went back, I started to like it a little bit more and a little bit more. And now I feel like I'm at peace with where I put it on my list. I think it is a very good movie in the sense of technically. It is shot well. It's mostly acted well. The music's great. The kills are amazing. James Jude Courtney, all of that's good. For me, it's just, there is a lot of dialogue in here that is just very over the top. It seems like we already saw this before in Halloween H2O, and we saw it better. A lot of it just feels forced. It doesn't necessarily feel like the sequel to the original that it needed to be. It doesn't have the same feel. Granted, 40 years apart, I get it, but you know, Halloween 2018 is just, it's a mixed bag for me. There's a lot that I like, there's a lot that I don't like, and there's a lot that makes me cringe. I understand that a lot of people really love this movie and hold this in high regard, and more power to you, honestly. Like, you know me with my controversial ranking. I'll never tell you where to put a movie in your list, but this one's going to come in at number 9 for me. And this is when the list gets a little more controversial. Coming in at number 8 is going to be 1981's Halloween 2. I put this above 2018, obviously, because I do feel like this is a better sequel to the original Halloween. It feels more like the original Halloween than 2018 does, and there's something about that 80s aesthetic and feel that I love. However, with Halloween 2, there's a good portion of this movie in the middle that is quite boring. Not a lot is happening, and part of that is because John Carpenter himself admitted he didn't have a story for a second movie. So you kind of have to force things in to make a second movie, and that's why the opening is pretty strong, the ending is pretty strong, and the middle parts are just kind of meandering around. Walking through empty hallways, walking through more empty hallways, synth music plays, rinse and repeat. Now, in some moments it creates great atmosphere and it's creepy. In some moments it is quite boring. Also, although I understand it was a product of its time, they had to up the gore and the violence to compete with Friday the 13th just now coming onto the scene and whatnot. So I totally get that, but tonally, that doesn't fit with the original Halloween. And if you're billing this as the same night, the same Michael Myers, the same town, all of that, it doesn't work as well. Halloween 2 is a very good movie, I think. I really do think it is. But because of those reasons, it's going to go at number 8 for me. More controversy because at number 7 is going to be Halloween Kills from 2021. And, you know, over the past few days, guys, I really have thought about switching this in Halloween 2. And I wouldn't be surprised if a month from now or a year from now, that is what happens and 2 jumps this one. But as of right now, this is where I have Kills. And my reasons for that are very simple. This movie is bananas. B-A-N-A-N-A-S. All right? This movie is so fun. I mean, Michael Myers is finally the motiveless psychopath just killing anyone and everyone that comes his way. That he just walks across, you're dead. Like, no reason, nothing like that. I love that. I also love to see the effect that it would have on this town to where they just all go batshit crazy after this guy because they think that they can take him down. That is really interesting. There is stuff I don't like about this movie. Again, like 2018, a lot of really forced dialogue that just doesn't feel like how normal humans talk. Not at all. There's middle portions in the middle of this movie. You know, there's portions in there of the hospital stuff that is just really, really cringy. Whether it's the dialogue, whether it's some of the acting, whether it's some of the character choices. You've got Danny DeVito, that, obviously not him, but that jumps off the building. And it's supposed to be sad, and it is sad, but the way they handle the scene, it doesn't come across as sad. It comes across as gore for gore's sake, and it doesn't hit you the way it should. There's just a lot there. Also, this is the movie I feel like where the most callbacks and the most Easter eggs and the most nudge moments to the fans were put in there. One example, before I wrap up talking about this movie, Charles Cyphers. Love you, Charles, but no. He clearly has been retired for a good reason. He just doesn't act anymore, and you can tell in this movie. Having said all of that, it gives me exactly what I wanted. It is a bombastic, fun, crazy thrill ride from start to finish with, blood and guts and carnage, and I eat that up, and it oozes atmosphere. So Halloween Kills is going to be number 7 for me. Wow, so I just realized that I had my numbers mixed up. I started right, and somewhere along the way I missed a number there. So this is my actual number 7. So Halloween Kills was number 8. Halloween 2018 was number 9. Halloween H2O was number 10. Rob Zombie's Halloween was 11. And number 12 was Halloween Resurrection. So now we're caught up. Number 7 is going to be Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. This is a movie the first time I saw it that I hated. Hated this movie with a fiery passion. And over the years, it just grew and grew and grew on me to the point where I love this movie now. I mean, I genuinely do. It's the fall atmosphere. It's the mean-ass portrayal of Michael Myers. The great mask. The great kills. There's something about this movie. It's also like that last gasp of late 80s, early 90s horror, at least in feel and tone, that like right after this movie, it all went Scream. And this, I feel like, is one of the final movies that really felt like that era. And I just hold it very near and dear for that reason. I prefer the theatrical cut. It makes a little bit more sense to me. And it's also just more fun and over the top. Whereas the producer's cut, I appreciate the risks they were trying to take there and wanting to switch it up. But some of them are definitely a stretch. And it's definitely weird for the Halloween franchise. We get into runes and cults and all this stuff, and it's definitely interesting, and incest, and it's okay. You swung. You didn't connect fully, but you swung. I give him credit for that. But overall, Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, I freaking love this movie. It is so fun. It's mean. What's not to love? Coming in at number 6 is going to be Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. This is a lot of people's favorite, in their top 5, and it's just outside my top 5. I love this movie. This movie's great. This is another one that I watched repeatedly on AMC as a kid. Obviously 4 and 5. We all grew up watching those. If you're, my age, late 20s, early 30s, they were always in rotation on TV. So I have a fondness for this movie. I love Danielle Harris as Jamie Lloyd, Rachel Crothers played by Ellie Cornell, Beau Starr, Donald Pleasance back. It is a really great movie. It opens just immediately setting the tone for, oh yeah, okay, this is Halloween. This is in the Midwest. And I freaking dig the hell out of this movie for that. I really do think this movie is just sound all the way around. From its shocking ending, it's just great. Few issues I have with Halloween 4 are pretty simple. The mask, a lot of people don't really dig the mask. I don't dig the mask either. I get it, guys. You can make arguments for why it is. Come on. No, I don't dig it. I just don't dig it. But whatever, it's a great movie. And 2, and probably the biggest, most egregious mistake this movie makes. You're really going to cut away from Kathleen Kenmont like that? Really? Come on. All right, guys, so now we're in the top 5, and this, oh yeah, buddy. Here we go. The keyboard warriors are typing as we speak. Can't wait for this. Number 5 is going to be Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. This is one I've always loved from the very first time I saw it when I was a kid. When my mom warned me, you're not going to like it. It doesn't have Michael Myers in it. It sucks. I said, whatever. Watched it, and I was like, dude, that was fun. It was weird, like super weird. Great 80s sci-fi horror. It has great atmosphere. The desolate setting and feel of this movie, I just eat it up. Tom Atkins, an 80s legend. Come on now. Seriously. You've got Dan O'Herlihy as Connell Cochran, who is just amazing. Amazing. He commands the screen like Donald Pleasance did. You know, he reminds me a lot of him. I love this movie. I love the risks it took. I love that they said, we're going to break away from your traditional Halloween and we're going to try to do something different. And it didn't work in the long run, but I really enjoy Halloween 3. I always have. And that's why it comes in at number 5 on my list. But I know a lot of you guys have come around to it in recent years, so this probably isn't controversial. But these next 4, buckle up. Coming in at number 4 is going to be 2022's Halloween Ends. Yes, I said it. It's number 4 on my list. Why is it number 4 on your list? This movie desecrates Michael Myers and the memory of him and yada yada. You're pissing in the wind, buddy. Halloween Ends comes in at number 4 on my list for a lot of reasons, but I'll keep it brief. I really, really, really enjoy the deviation from what we have known. I love the new angle. I love that this is more about Haddonfield and Michael Myers' presence and Michael Myers' evil and how this is affecting people, what it has done to these people, and basically this town turning on itself and turning on to each other and creating a new boogeyman. I love that. I think Rowan Campbell's great in the role. And I've even seen people that say they don't like this movie, thought he did really well. So I think most of us can agree on that. And he's believable. I like his arc. I like his turn. I love the score, the cinematography. I just think this movie is technically very sound. And where I had issues in 2018 and Kills, where I felt like a lot of what people would say isn't how normal people talk, there's very little of that in this movie. There are a few moments. Don't get me wrong. There are a few moments. But throughout most of this movie, I'm not sitting there cringing at Evil Dies Tonight or Peanut Butter on My Penis or anything like that. And that goes a long way for me. It made it a lot more enjoyable. I think that this movie is just a subversion of expectations, and I think it's a love letter to John Carpenter and John Carpenter's original idea for a sequel to Halloween, basing it around the specter of Michael Myers in the town of Haddonfield, not about the man in the white mask. And obviously, we've got Christine references, My Bodyguard. It's awesome. I love this movie. But I'm going to move on to the next one because I know that's going to be one that pisses a lot of people off. These next 2 will too, but whatever. We're going to get right into it. Number 3 is going to be Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. And no, I am not saying Halloween 5 is objectively the 3rd best movie in the series. I'm saying it's my 3rd favorite. How, Nick? This was the first one I ever saw. It's what got me into this series. I saw it on TV when I was probably 5 or 6. It scared the crap out of me. I loved it. I ate it up. As the years have gone on and I've watched other movies in the series that are obviously better made films, more technically sound, there's something about this gothic European vibe that this movie has that I just can't escape from. I can't. One, I think Danielle Harris just commands the screen as a kid. And half the movie she doesn't even talk, so she has to literally sell us on her acting with just her body and facial expressions. And she does incredibly well. Loomis has had it. And I would too at this point. This guy keeps getting away. I don't give a shit what I got to do to get him. I'm getting him. You're either with me or you're in my way. I really dig the aesthetic of this movie. I really dig the atmosphere. I really dig the vibe. And I love that this was a movie that kind of really injected a new flair, visually especially, that we hadn't seen yet in this series. It's got a lot of flaws. Don't get me started on the clown cops, okay? It's got a lot of flaws, but you know what? Tina's not one of them, damn it. Coming in at number 2, and this used to be incredibly controversial, but I think my number 4 spot's going to be more controversial than anything on this list, so I think we're out of the weeds now. Number 2 is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Guys, I have defended this movie ad nauseum on my channel. I'm not really going to get into it. If you guys are new here, check out some of my old videos. I actually did a video 2 weeks ago breaking down, why I think Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is such a great movie. A lot of you guys watched it. We're closing on 3,000 views on that, so thank you guys so much for that. I love this movie. It's a realistic portrayal of PTSD and how sometimes you don't always come out of these things. Sometimes it gets worse, not better. And every now and then we have to face that head on and realize that things aren't always going to go the way we want them. And you know what? That's okay. That's okay. Because it's a movie. So let's live vicariously through them and their eyes in this movie. And I love this movie. I absolutely do. I think it is gritty. It's realistic. It's everything I could have wanted Rob to do. This felt like Rob's Halloween movie. The first one, definitely hindered by the studio. This one, they said, you know what, Rob? Have at it, buddy. And kudos to him, because I think he delivered a banger. But no suspense here. Number one, Halloween 1978. Most of us fans can agree with this. There are some that don't think so, and more power to you. It takes some balls to do that, and I mean that. What is there to say? I mean, it's a classic. I think inarguably one of the greatest horror films of all time. My personal favorite. But I think most people would agree. You can't even argue that it's one of the best. Yeah, it's the reason all this is possible. It's the blueprint. It's the Godfather. It's the granddaddy. It's whatever term you want to use. This movie has had an impact on cinema as we know it, especially horror. But what more is there to say? I don't have anything else to say. Halloween 1978 is easily number one on this list for me, and probably always will be. So, yeah, I've got some hot takes, but none that are that hot. So that's going to do it on my Halloween franchise re-ranking, including the new Halloween Ends, the new bastard child in the series. I love it. I love to see it. But again, guys, as I said at the top, just comment down below and just give me your ranking, okay? We don't need to argue back and forth about why this one is here and this one is here and why I'm wrong for putting this here and you're wrong for putting that there. No, it's pointless. We're not going to change each other's minds. Just comment down below and let me know what your ranking is. I would love to know. You guys know I always interact with you in the comments, whether you're trolling or not. So I'm just opening myself up to that again. So take it, run with it. That's going to be it for me today, guys. Again, let me know what your rankings are. Follow me on social media if you have not already. Support the channel on Patreon. I got some great content coming this weekend, behind-the-scenes content from Scarefest with good old Planet CHH. We're going to be doing some in-person Uneeda stuff. It's going to be cool. And, you know, we're also probably going to get drunk and act a fool. And all of that will be on Patreon. So check that out. But anyway, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. This is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I am pulling out.